Hey, you ain't heard, man. They say a word, man. Make it do what it do, baby.
Do you feel the vibes?
Hey, everybody, this is Word Man again, and I'm glad y'all can join me once again. Um, I know y'all seen the topic about it being to Jesus, and I know that was gonna get y'all attention. And at the same time, I wanted y'all to come and see what was going on about that, see what's all the hype about that, see if it was just hype or propaganda, all that type of thing. But it's real though. It is two Jesuses. And the reason why I wanted to talk about that is because I feel that a lot of people need to know that and know that they're serving the right one. You can't get caught up or sidetracked and not knowing this. I don't know why, excuse me, I don't know why they wasn't promoting this and letting everybody know about this and knowing how important that it is to serve the right Jesus. So before this is over, hopefully you all will see what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to get straight to it. The reason why I say it's to Jesus is because that's what the word and what God has been showing us all along. And you're going to see that this isn't something that I'm making up, but it's been there all along. And I'm going to show it to you. And if you, like me, I know a lot of y'all going to be saying, wow, I'm glad I know that now. And it has always been in there. But why haven't we seen it? But anyway, let me get straight to it. Y'all remember when Jesus was he had just reached 30 years old and he went to be baptized by John the Baptist. And after he was baptized, he came back. And when he came back home to bless all his people, because he had the power then, because the Spirit had ascended on him like a dove when he came out the water. That was the power of God, giving him the power to do all the miracles that he would eventually do. But before that, he did not have the power. So that's why, since he was born and up until 30 years old, he didn't do any miracles because he did not have the power. Okay. So when he came back home to bless them, finally, with the power that he had, and he came and told them that he was the Messiah. That was the first time he told them that. As soon as he told them that, somebody said, hey, ain't that Mary and Joseph's son, the carpenter's son? And the Bible said that they got so angry, they pushed up on him. The whole town felt the same way. And they pushed up on him and to push him off a cliff to kill him. But he slipped through them and he left every one of them. Right? Okay. The thing is, how can you, what you got to look at is how could someone before, all the way up until he was 30 years old, the Bible said that everyone loved him. All the old people wished that was their grandson. All the parents wished that was their son. All his peers, they were like, oh, that's hey, Jesus, ain't you my best friend? You my best friend. He my best friend. He was well respected by his peers. And all the younger ones want to grow up and be just like him. But soon as he came and told them who he really was, they pushed up against him and to push him over a cliff to kill him. So the thing is, you got to ask yourself, what would make someone do that? Because God is trying to show us something about that, right? But that's a whole nother story, but I'm going to stay with the two Jesus, right? The reason why they did that was because they only knew him as who they perceived him to be. And they perceived him to be a man, just like them. And when they looked at him and perceived him to be who they wanted him to be, they were happy with him. But when he told them, I am not man, I am God, then they didn't like him anymore. So a lot of people, they okay with serving Jesus man because they feel that they can identify with him more, like those people. But it's hard for them to accept Jesus as Jesus God, just like those people. A lot of people still today think they serving Jesus God, but they serving Jesus man. See, the thing is, when you serving Jesus man, you're not going to get no miracles, no nothing. Just like they didn't get any. That's why he left them. You have to believe that he is Jesus God before you can get the miracles. That's why before he healed anybody, he always said, do you believe? Because he knew you have to believe that he is Jesus God before the power of the miracle can work on you. Right? What they didn't know was that when he, all the way up till he was born, all the way up till he was 30 years old, he was Jesus man. All the way up until he went to John the Baptist, Jesus man. But when he went down in that water, when Jesus man went down in that water, up under that water when John the Baptist was baptizing him, when he went up under that water, Jesus man went down in the water, but Jesus God came up out of the water. And that's why when he went back home, he was Jesus God. But they could not handle that. They couldn't accept that because they had gotten familiar with who they perceived him to be all this time. Right? So a lot of people today, they still worshiping Jesus man because of who they perceive him to be. But they think it's Jesus God, but it's Jesus man. Anytime you have taken Jesus and shrunk him down to the size that you more comfortable with, you're doing the same thing that these people did. That's the same thing they did. They had shrunken him down to who they perceived him to be so they could feel good about themselves concerning him. But when he said, I am Jesus God, I am the Messiah, then he was too big for them. Because then if they would have accepted him as who he was telling them who he truly was, then they would have seen all their defects and all this and that, because the one that they heard about who was coming was pure and holy. So they said, oh no, before we do that, you got to go. And all of them pressed against him to kill him, to push him over a cliff. You know? One thing I seen about this, I said I knew his mother and father was there. I knew Mary and Joseph was there among the people, but I didn't hear them speaking up like, oh no, yes, he is the Messiah. So I looked at that and said, well, maybe they had not gotten used to him being Jesus' man and looking at him as he's Jesus' man. For 30 years, you ain't do no miracles. For 30 years, you ain't do none of the stuff that we heard in the scriptures that this person's supposed to do. You taking out trash every time I tell you to do something. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. And all that. I just said to myself, so did they start looking at him as Jesus' man too? That's one instance. Now, another instance, like you take Mary and Martha, Lazarus, two sisters. Jesus used to come over their house a lot. He was a good friend of their brother, Lazarus. So on this particular day, I know you all know the story. When he came over and Mary was sitting outside by his feet, sitting down, and they outside, and Jesus talking to her, and her sister Martha is inside because Jesus is their VIP guest. And so she in there throwing down, you know, you can see the flour, the meal, all that everywhere. It's hot. They ain't got no AC back then. So, you know, she just in there throwing down, and she just happened to look out the window and see her sister out there sitting down with Jesus. So the Bible said Martha went out there and she was upset, and she said, hey, Jesus, do you not care that I'm in here doing this by myself and that Mary is not helping me? And Jesus said, Martha, you choose to do that which you are doing, but there's only one good thing. And Mary has chosen that one. And I'm not going to take that away from her. Now, what this means, again, to show you the two Jesus. Martha looked at him as Jesus' man. Her sister Mary looked at him as Jesus' God. If you look at him as Jesus' man, you're going to always feel like it's something that you can do for him. So when Martha came out there and she was saying, Jesus, do you not care that I'm here doing this by myself? And Mary is not helping me. Would you tell her to help me? You know, I bet Mary was looking up at her saying like, girl, you need to shut your mouth. You don't know who you talking to. You talking to God like that.